With me in studio is former Deputy State Attorney within the Israeli Justice Ministry, Attorney Yehuda Shaffer. Thank you so much for being with me. I want to note first, we have a Justice Minister, which is separate from the Attorney General.
Yes.
All of that leading up to the fact that the Prime Minister will appear in court in just a few days. Explain the dynamic here.
Okay, well, the Minister of Justice is not the most important figure in the Israeli judicial system. The Attorney General is the leading force who actually decides on indicting a Prime Minister and is the head of the prosecution. The Minister of Justice is an important figure because he heads the Committee of Legislation in the government, so he can push court legislation, which previous ministers have tried. He also sits in the committee, heads the Committee of Appointment of Judges. And we saw previous ministers of justice trying to influence who the Supreme Court will be. And the third function is the administrative one in appointing the Attorney General and the State Attorney, etc. And we saw Ohana trying to interfere during his short one-year period in trying to appoint a temporary State Attorney and cause the whole turmoil in the prosecution.
So when it comes to the power of the Supreme Court and the appointment of judges, clearly, Amir Ohana, in his term as interim justice minister, really railed against, in his view, the activism of the court, the interventionism of the court. Even in his outgoing speech, he railed against it even more. And do we have a sense also on how NISSENKORN may reshape the ministry?
Absolutely. This is a big change and perhaps one of the big achievements of the Blue and White Party, because Ohana couldn't do much because this year was a election year, the 3 elections, so there's certain things that are not done during election time, so there's very little he could have done. But now NISSENKORN's in. I was just listening to the ceremony before I came into the studio. They've just wrapped up a minute ago, and NISSENKORN, Ohana was there giving his speeches against the court, how the court should not interfere and should not be politicized, etc., etc. NISSENKORN came and said, "I'm here to defend democracy. I'm here to defend the rule of law. I'm here to defend public trust, and I trust all of you. I trust you, Attorney General." He said this specifically. "I trust you, state attorneys, and I will defend you. I will be your wall. I will be your defender," which is such an important message, because even if he will not do anything during his new period now, but will just stand there as a wall to defend the system from.
So we don't expect any kind of attacks against the judicial system. He doesn't bbelieve it's an overly active court or interventionist court.
Absolutely not. And he actually gave a quote from Menachem Begin, the mythological leader of the Likud party, saying that the judicial system has to be the fort defending democracy. The Likud used to be very strong. They used to have a very strong position on this, on defending the courts. It has changed since Netanyahu has been indicted, where some members of the Likud have begun attacking the court, attacking the judicial system, and it's now very important, I think, that we have a Minister of Justice that has made it clear that he's there to defend the system, let the system act independently, let the judiciary act independently, but he's, as minister, is there to defend it from undue influence.
So with NISSENKORN now at the helm, sir, it does seem all signs clearly pointing to a Netanyahu criminal trial beginning on Sunday.
Well, let's get things in proportion. The actual reading of the indictment will be on.
He'll have to be in court. This is it's just a formal opening.
Well, with Netanyahu, we never know anything until the last moment, but he should be in court and he should answer to the indictment. And then there'll be a whole bunch of procedural issues, including deciding on when the court will continue, which I can guess will be a few months from now. So don't hold your breath. This will be around September, October, I can guess, after the summer recess.
Do we expect that Netanyahu, as Prime Minister, he may have to physically be in court? Will he have to say anything? Will it take just a matter of minutes and then he's out of there? Likely.
He might be asked to answer to the indictment, and he'll probably answer not guilty. And then the court, because if he admits, in criminal justice, if you admit to the crime, then you're just set for sentencing. But of course, this is just it's a formal act, but it's an extremely important one. He has to be there, and he will have to be there during many of the future trials dates that will be set. Although the court might let him go to being Prime Minister, they might relieve him from some of the days when some of the witnesses are testifying. Although, in principle, yes, he should be there every day.
Okay. Yehuda Shaffer, sir, thank you so much for your expertise. Great to have you on the program.